Dear learner, I welcome you all on behalf of School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Dear learner, today I am going to discuss topic that is power losses and efficiency of the transformer. So as you know, in the previous lecture we have discussed the basics of the transformer, in which we have discussed the phasor diagram of the transformer and equivalent circuit of the transformer, and we have also discussed what is ideal transformer and how the transformer work actually when it is loaded. This load may be the resistive loaded, maybe the RL load, maybe the RC load. So as you know, transformer is a static machine. What is the meaning of this? That means there is no dynamic part in the transformer. So, and you know that transformer has highest efficiency, nearly 97% or 98%. Reason behind this is only that means it doesn't have any static part. That means it doesn't have any frictional losses and windage losses. But at the same time there are also some losses in the transformer, and these losses are called power losses. And what are those power losses? It may be categorized as iron losses or it may be the copper losses, right? Then we have to discuss the efficiency of the transformer. And what is the meaning of the efficiency? Efficiency is just simply it is the ratio of output to the input, right? So in this session we will discuss in detail the power losses and efficiency of the transformer. So first of all I am going to discuss losses in the transformer. So losses in the transformer can be classified as, first is core losses, and this core losses is also called iron losses, and second is a copper losses, or you can say I square R losses. Core losses, as I told you, that it is also called iron losses, and these losses can also be classified as hysteresis losses and eddy current losses. So as you know that these core losses is basically depends on the supply voltage. So if this supply voltage is constant, that means these core losses are constant. And here you can see that hysteresis losses is basically depends on the flux density, frequency and this volume of the core. Similarly, eddy current losses is also depends on the some constant, flux density and square of the frequency. The other losses, that is a variable losses, it is called I square losses also. So these losses, or you can say this copper losses, is basically depends on the supply current, or you can say primary current or secondary current, and it will be directly proportional to the square of the current. So as the load will change, that means this current will change. So this current is changing, that means something is a variable part. So these losses are also changing. So these losses are called variable losses. So as I told you that these two losses, hysteresis losses or eddy current losses, depends on this flux density, and this flux density is directly proportional to the applied voltage. And if this applied voltage is constant, that means this flux density is constant. So at that moment the hysteresis losses is directly proportional to the supply frequency, right? And as the frequency will change, hysteresis losses will be changed. And similarly this eddy current losses is directly proportional to the square of the frequency, right? So you can say the variation of the hysteresis losses is the linear variation, and this is a non-linear variation, and this is happens only when this applied voltage is constant. Now we are going to discuss in detail what are these core losses or the iron losses. So when core is subjected to this alternating supply, and which is depend on the supply voltage which is constant, so these losses are constant losses. Why it is called constant losses? Because these losses doesn't change with respect to the load of the current. Whatever the load is there, these core losses will be constant. That means this iron loss will be always constant, whether it is a zero load or it is a full load or it is a half of the maximum load. So these iron losses are called the constant losses. Now these iron losses can be classified as hysteresis losses and eddy current losses. So first of all, now we are going to discuss hysteresis losses. How this hysteresis losses happens. So here you can see in the diagram, the hysteresis losses occur due to the magnetization and demagnetization of the magnetic core. It don't follow a linear and similar path. Here you can see that this variation is between B and H. So as this H is changing, so here you can see this B is going from O to D. Now suppose you are decreasing the value this H, so this value is changing like this and path is following like D and F. And again suppose this value is decreasing in the negative way, so again this value of this flux density is coming this way. Now here you can see this path is not coming on this way, this path is going on this way. So here you can see this shaded area is showing the basically hysteresis losses. So this hysteresis losses happens due to the magnetization and demagnetization of the magnetic core, right? And in every cycle some energy gets wasted, which is represented by this area of this BH curve. So if we want to keep the hysteresis losses minimum, that means this material, whatever the material of the core like CRGO, so this material must have some thinner BH curve. So property, if the property of that material is showing that it has thinner BH curve, that means it will have less hysteresis losses in the transformer. So these power losses due to the hysteresis can be given by this formula, KE/Bm to the power 1.6 multiplied by frequency and multiplied by this V, where this KE is the, you can say this is a constant, and this Bm is the maximum flux density of the core, and it is generally denoted in Weber per meter cube, and this F is a supply frequency. Generally this supply frequency is also constant in India. Generally it is said the frequency in India is a 50 Hz, but anyhow if this frequency is changing, that means this hysteresis losses will also change. But as I have already told you that hysteresis losses and eddy current losses are constant, because we are assuming that supply voltage is constant, and just we are also assuming that this frequency is constant. That's why these losses are called constant losses. And this V is a volume of the core. Generally it is denoted in meter cube. So hysteresis losses is directly proportional to the flux density to the power 1.6 and frequency. So if you want to reduce this hysteresis losses, so how you can reduce? It can be minimized by using the steel of high silicon content, that is CRGO material. What is this CRGO? C means cold rolled grain oriented silicon steel. So if you are using this material of CRGO, that means you can reduce the hysteresis losses in the transformer. Now we are going to discuss what are the eddy current losses. Right, so the magnitude of EMF is different at various points in the core. Like suppose you assume this one is a core, right? And because this core is made of some laminations, okay, so this magnitude of EMF at various points in the core is different. So if there is a difference in the EMF, that means there is a difference in the potential. If there is a difference in the potential, that means some current will start to flow. As you know, current always flows from higher potential to lower potential. So due to this eddy current, there is some EMF at different point of the core, and due to this difference in the EMF at different point of the core, one current start to flow, and this current is basically called eddy current. So this eddy current losses depends on the thickness of the core. If thickness of the core is less, that means you can reduce the eddy current losses. That's why the core of the transformer is laminated. So to minimize the eddy current losses, we use the iron core, which is made of laminated sheet stampings, and the thickness of stamping is around 0.5 mm. So if question is how you can reduce the eddy current losses in the transformers, you can say if core is made of lamination, that means you can reduce the eddy current losses. or to if you are able to reduce this thickness of the lamination, then you can also you can reduce the eddy current losses. So now there is a one formula for which there are different parameter on which eddy current losses depends. Here you can see this W is a eddy current losses and this is a KE is a constant. So this eddy current losses is directly proportional to the this maximum flux density of the core, square of the supply frequency, square of the thickness of the core and volume of the material. So here you can see thickness of the core. That means as this thickness of the core you will reduce, that means you can reduce the eddy current losses. So in order to reduce the eddy current losses, core is laminated. Now we are going to discuss the second losses. First was the iron losses, which are called constant losses, and second losses is copper losses, or you can say I square R losses. It is also called variable losses. So these losses occur due to the ohmic resistance of the primary and secondary winding, because every transformer have a primary winding and secondary winding. So if there is a binding, that means some material, it may be the copper, it may be aluminum. So generally the binding of the core is made of the copper, that's why it is called copper losses. If there is a copper, so it will have some resistance also. So if there is a resistance, if in any resistive wire one current is flowing, that means there will be some I square R losses. So this ohmic losses basically depends on the primary current or secondary current as well as the resistance of that winding. So because this transformer have primary winding and secondary winding, so it is very understood this losses will occur on both the side, primary winding and secondary winding. And if you want to calculate the full load copper losses when separate binding are taken, that means you can write this copper losses at full load is equal to I1 square into R1. So this I1 is basically what? This is a primary current, right? And this R1 is what? This R1 is the resistance of the primary binding, and this I2 is the current at the secondary side, and R2 is the resistance of the secondary binding. So total copper losses in the transformer, in the binding of the transformer at full load can be calculated by simply I1 square R1 plus I2 square R2. Now suppose if you want to calculate the full load copper losses when all the parameters are referred to the primary side, so this secondary resistance can be transferred to the primary side. As you know, it can be transferred any resistance either side, either primary side or the secondary side, by some formula which has already been discussed. So this copper losses at full load can be written as I1 square into R1E, where R1E is basically what? When all the resistance of the binding is transferred to the primary side. So this I1 is what? I1 is the primary current in the transformer. And similarly, full load copper losses can also be calculated when resistance are referred to the secondary side. So at that moment you can write the formula for the copper losses when all the resistance are referred to the secondary side. It can be written as I2 square into R2E. So this R2 is what? R2E is the equivalent resistance on the binding when it is referred to the secondary side. Now basically, as I already told you, that copper losses is a variable losses. It depends on the current, and as you know that copper losses is what? Copper losses is nothing but it is a I square R losses. That means this copper losses depends on the square of the current, right? So now suppose it is asked if and if I am saying this copper losses PCU square is equal to I square R. So this I is the current at full load. Now suppose you want to calculate the copper losses at half full load. Half full load matlab just if they suppose you can say that I2FL is a full load current. So half full load current is what? Just it is I2FL divided by 2. Now if we want to calculate the copper losses at half load, so you can write I2 square HL R2E, where I2HL is what? This is a current at half full load. And what is the value of this current at half full load? It is equal to 1 by 2 times of full load current. So just you put this I2HL is equal to 1 by 2 I2FL. So this 1 by 2 is just square of 1 by 2 is what? This is you can say 1 by 4, and this current is I2FL, so I2 square FL R2E. So if you say what is the value of the copper losses when load is half, so you can say the copper losses will be the 1 by 4 times of the losses at full load, right? So this copper losses at half load is can be written as 1 by 2 square PCU full FL. That is, this PCU FL is what? Copper losses at full load. Here you can say this is 1 by 4. So you can find the generalized formula. Just you replace this 1 by 2 as a N. So N is what? This N is a fractional load. So if you want to calculate the copper loss at any load, it may be the half full load, it may be the 3 by 4th of the load. So you can write the generalized formula: copper losses at any load is equal to N square multiplied by copper losses at full load, where N is what? N is a fractional loaded. Suppose it is said you calculate the copper losses at half full load. So just put the value N is equal to 1 by 2. And suppose it is asked you calculate the copper losses at 3 by 4 load. So just you put the value of 3 by 4. So what will be 3 by 4? That means 9 by 16 times of the full load copper losses. Now we are going to discuss effect of voltage and frequency variation in the transformer. So as you know, the hysteresis losses is directly proportional to the flux density to the power 1.6 multiplied by frequency, and eddy current losses is directly proportional to the square of the flux density multiplied by the square of the frequency. So as you know, the EMF equation of transformer is what? E is equal to 4.44 F phi m N, where F is what? F is a frequency and phi is a flux, maximum flux, and N is a number of turn. So this phi m can be replaced as Bm into A, where Bm is a maximum flux density, and this A is what? This A is the area of the core. So here you can find out the generalized formula, right? Like this B, because this 4.44 is a constant, this area is a constant, this N is constant. So here you can say this maximum flux density Vm is directly proportional to E divided by this frequency, right? So this flux density is directly proportional to this induced EMF E and frequency. If this is a, suppose E and F are changed in constant, in direct proportional, that means this Bm is a constant, right? That means at that time hysteresis losses will be directly proportional to the frequency, and eddy current will directly proportional to the square of the frequency. Here we can again understand this WH can be replaced as this C by F, because this Bm can be replaced by E upon F. So this E is a supply voltage is constant, so just you can write all the formula by supply voltage, you can write by like this C is a constant. So you can say hysteresis losses is directly proportional to the sum constant multiplied by the frequency to the power 0.6. Similarly, eddy current losses can be written as it is directly, because this F square will be cancelled out, so hysteresis eddy current losses is directly proportional to the constant. So what you can conclude from these two expressions, equation number 3 and equation number 4. So increase in the frequency with the constant supply voltage, then you can say hysteresis losses are reduced. Here you can see in the formula. And what is the effect on the eddy current losses? Because these frequency terms are cancelled out, that means this eddy current losses will always be constant, or you can say these eddy current losses are unaffected. So for increase in voltage and frequency in the same proportion, the core loss may increase to an intolerable level Because core loss is directly proportional to the flux density, and this flux density is directly proportional to this E upon F, right? Now the transformer can be operated safely at frequency less than the rated one with the corresponding to the reduced voltage. So as you have noticed in the previous slide, in this slide in fact, this hysteresis losses increase when increase in the frequency with the constant supply voltage, and hysteresis losses are and eddy current losses are unaffected. Now we have to understand the separation of the core losses. So as you know, the core losses, or you can say iron losses, can be classified as eddy current losses and hysteresis losses. So, or you can say this iron losses is equal to hysteresis losses plus eddy current losses, and hysteresis losses is directly proportional to the flux density to the power 1.6 multiplied by frequency, and eddy current losses is directly proportional to the square of the flux density multiplied by the square of the frequency, or you can say WH is directly proportional to the frequency. If you are replacing this proportional constant, so you can write WH is equal to AF and WE is equal to BF square. So what is this iron losses? Iron losses is hysteresis losses plus eddy current losses. So Wi is equal to WH plus WE, and what is the value of WH? WH is nothing but it is a AF, and WE is equal to what? This is a BF square. So just take F common from this side, so you can write Wi upon F is equal to A plus BF. Here you can see in the graph, this graph is between Wi upon F plus F. So this is a constant because this term is a constant and this is a changing. So if you are able to find the slope of this line, that means you can calculate the eddy current losses. So the values of A and B can be determined by performing open circuit test on the transformer. After 2 or 3 slides we will discuss how this open circuit test and short circuit test are performed. And during this test, applied voltage and frequency F are varied together so as to keep this V by F, or you can say flux density, almost constant, and wattmeter during open circuit test give the iron losses. So after taking the reading of the iron losses and voltage and frequency are recorded, iron loss per cycle is plotted against the frequency F. The intercept of the straight line on the vertical axis gives the value of the constant. Here you can see in this slide, this one. So the intercept of the straight line on the vertical axis gives the value of the constant A, and the slope of the line gives constant B. Once the A and B are known, the hysteresis losses and eddy current losses can be determined by equation 1 and 2 respectively, as hysteresis losses is directly proportional to the frequency, or you can say WH is equal to AF, and eddy current losses is equal to BF square. So you have calculated the B and you have the frequency. So just you put all the value, that means constant A and F and frequency, then you can find out the hysteresis losses and eddy current losses. Now we are going to discuss testing of the transformer, how the transformer are tested. That means how you can calculate these losses, this iron losses and copper losses, or you can say variable losses. So to find out these losses, there are 2 tests are performed, that is called open circuit test and short circuit test. This open circuit test are performed for the finding the iron losses, that means eddy current losses and hysteresis losses, and short circuit tests are performed to calculate the copper losses at full load. So first we are going to discuss open circuit test. This open circuit test is also called no load test. Why it is called no load test? Because at the secondary side the binding is kept open. If binding is kept open, that means there is a no load is connected, that means there is a no load, that's why it is called no load test. So these tests basically determine the core loss, that is iron losses. At the same time you can also calculate the some parameter if you want to draw the equivalent circuit, that means you can calculate the I naught, that is a no load current, magnetizing current, IC core loss current, R naught, X naught, and no load power factor. So here you can see in the diagram, that means if you want to perform the open circuit test for the transformer, so high voltage binding side is kept open, and at the low voltage side, with help of the auto transformer, rated voltage are applied. Here you can see. So the reading that record, that is a wattmeter. This wattmeter gives the iron losses. You can denote by Wi, or you can say that is a Pi, and this ammeter gives the reading of I naught, that is a no load current, and this one give the applied voltage. You can say B1 voltage, whatever the voltage you are applying, that is a rated voltage. So B1, this voltmeter will give you the reading of the rated voltage, ammeter will give you the reading of the no load current, and wattmeter will give you the reading of iron losses. So usually these meters are connected on the low voltage side, which may be the primary or it may be the secondary, right? Basically primary and secondary binding are termed on the basis of the use. If you are using, suppose step up transformer, right? So primary binding is a low voltage side and secondary is a high voltage side. If it is a step down transformer, then high voltage side will be called primary binding and low voltage side will be called secondary binding. So when you want to calculate this open circuit test, so this circuit always you have to apply the this rated voltage on the low voltage side, and you have to keep the high voltage side open circuited. So as you know, the reading of the wattmeter gives this core loss. It can be denoted as W naught, or generally sometime it is written as Pi, someone writes like Wi. So here we are writing like W naught. So W naught is equal to what? V1 into I naught cos phi naught, where V1 is what? V1 is the applied voltage and I naught is a no load current and cos phi naught is a no load power factor. So no load power factor can be written as W naught divided by V1 upon I naught. Now because you have calculated the no load current and you have a value of the voltage V1, you have a value of this no load power factor, that means you can say you have a no load phase angle, right? So just you draw the phasor diagram at the no load side. So this I naught is current lagging with respect to voltage V1 by this angle phi naught. So if you have a value of this I naught, so you can also calculate the component of no load current, that is magnetizing current, and IC. So what is the value of this IC? IC is nothing but it is I naught cos phi naught, and IM is what? IM is I naught sin phi naught. So you have a two value, this IC and IM, or you can say that this I naught is a phasor sum of this magnetizing current plus this IC core loss current. So now you have a value of IC, you have a value of IM, you have a value of V1, you have a value of phi naught. Now if you are interested to calculate this value of no load resistance R naught, so R naught is what? R naught is nothing but it is a applied voltage V1. So voltage across this point and this point is what? V1. So R naught can be written as V1 divided by this IC. And what is the value of this X naught? X naught is equal to V1, because the voltage parallel voltage across both the R naught and X naught is the same. So X naught is what? X naught is V1 upon IM. Now next test that we are going to discuss, that is short circuit test. So these short circuit tests are performed basically to find out the copper losses. So to perform this test, we apply a reduced voltage to the primary binding through instrument, keeping the low voltage binding short circuited. So here you can notice in the diagram that low voltage side is short circuited and high voltage side is the tests are performed on the high voltage side. So just you have to apply the 5 to 10% of the rated voltage, so it will give you the rated current, that you can say short circuit current. So here this wattmeter will give you the reading of this variable losses, or you can say short circuit losses, or you can say copper losses. This ammeter will give you the reading of the short circuit current, and this voltmeter will give you the reading short circuit voltage. So a variable load voltage is applied to the primary through an auto transformer, as you have seen in the diagram. The primary voltage gradually increases till the ammeter indicates full load current of the metering side. So the reading of the wattmeter gives, you can say this gives the reading of the short circuit losses, or you can say variable losses. It is denoted by WSC. Reading of the wattmeter give you the BSC, and reading of the ammeter give you the ISC, that is called short circuit current. So usually meter are connected on the high voltage side, which may be the primary or it may be the secondary. So this copper losses can be written as it is a product of the short circuit voltage, product of short circuit current, and power factor at the time of short circuit. So cos phi SC can be written as WSC divided by BSC into ISC. And because we are interested to calculate the copper losses, so copper losses is basically, it is called I square R losses. So this copper losses or losses can be written as WSC square is equal to I square SC into R2E, where R2 is what? R2E is the resistance referred to the secondary side. So for step up transformer, low voltage is primary and high voltage is secondary. So meter are on the secondary and we obtain equivalent circuit parameter referred to the secondary side. So this is how you can find out the resistance at the secondary side is equal to this WSC, that means the reading of the wattmeter divided by the reading of the short circuit current, or you can say reading of the ammeter. So R2 is equal to WSC upon ISC square, and similarly Z2 is equal to what? Voltage, short circuit voltage divided by short circuit current. So you have a value of this impedance, you have a value of the resistance, so you can easily calculate the reactance X2E. So X2E can be written as under root Z square minus R square, and all these parameters are referred to the secondary side. And for a step down transformer, the low voltage is a secondary and high voltage is primary. So meter are on primary side and we get R1E, X1E, Z1E, unlike a step up transformer. Reading are obtained where the meter are connected either on primary or secondary side. Now we are going to discuss the efficiency of the single phase transformer. So efficiency is what? Efficiency is nothing but it is output upon input. So we are talking about the efficiency of the transformer. So efficiency is equal to output power of the transformer to the input power of the transformer, right? So output power can be calculated if you are able to calculate the current and voltage and power factor, then you can calculate the output power. Or it is generally, it is if you are calculating efficiency at full load, that means this power are generally written on the machine also. So this output power can also be written as input power minus losses. So because you have already calculated how to calculate the losses, eddy current losses, hysteresis losses, that is a constant losses, and variable losses. So this formula can be written as 1 minus losses upon input power. This input power divided by input power is 1, and this is minus losses upon input power. This formula can also be written as efficiency is equal to output upon input power. Here input power can be written as output power plus losses. So just we are assuming that this Pi is the iron losses which have eddy current losses and hysteresis losses. These are the constant losses, and PC has the copper losses at full load. So if you are talking about the losses at full load, so total losses in the transformer at full load can be written as Pi plus PC, where Pi is iron losses and PC is the copper losses. So in any transformer, as you know, copper losses are the variable losses and iron losses are the fixed losses, or you can see constant losses. So when the load of the transformer, now because we are talking, that means if you want to calculate the efficiency of the transformer at any particular load, this load may be the half full load, and this load may be the 3/4 load. So generalize, we can write the formula when the load of the transformer, that means X times the full load. So if load is X times the full load, that means at that time copper losses can be written as X square PC, where PC is the copper losses at full load and X is the fraction of the load. Like if you want to calculate the copper loss at half full load, that means you put the value of X is equal to 1 by 2. Sometimes in some books it is written as N square PC. So X and N all are the same. That means this N and X are showing the fractional load. So at any particular load, the total losses can be written as Pi plus X square PC, because this Pi is the iron losses, which is a constant losses. It does not depend on the load. So total losses is equal to Pi plus X square PC. Let this PC is the full load copper losses and X is the ratio of the load current to the full load. So output power can be written as B2I2 cos phi multiplied by this X. This X is nothing but it is a fraction. So efficiency at any particular load can be written as output power, that is X times B2I2 cos phi upon input power. So input power is what? Output power multiplied by this iron losses plus X square PC. So here you can write efficiency is equal to X B2I2 cos phi upon X B2I2 cos phi plus Pi plus X square PC. Right? So efficiency can be written as X time KVA rating multiplied by cos phi upon X time KVA rating multiplied by cos phi plus Pi plus X square PC. Here this X terms is missing. You can write here X. So at full load, this copper losses can be written as efficiency is equal to B2I2 cos phi 2 and B2I2 cos phi 2 plus P iron plus P copper losses at full load, right? So this is a formula for the efficiency at full load. So this, as I already told you, that this N or X is basically denoted as a fractional load. This N may be the 1 by 2, it may be the 3 by 4. Suppose it is asked just you find the losses, or you can say efficiency at the 80% of the full load. That means you can write N or X is equal to 0.8. If it is asked at 70%, then you can write X is equal to 0.7. So for generalized formula, as you know that at particular load, the copper losses is equal to N square I square full load, right? So where this N is a fractional load. So efficiency at any fractional load can be written by this formula, as I already discussed. N BA rating into cos phi upon N BA rating of cos phi 2 plus Pi plus N square copper losses at full load. Now we have to find out the condition for the maximum efficiency. How you can find the condition for the maximum efficiency? The efficiency is a function of the load, as you know. Basically it is a function of the load current I2, assuming that this power factor is constant. So the secondary terminal voltage V2 is also assumed constant. Load current at which the efficiency attains a maximum value is denoted as I2M. So you can say this is the point where you can find the maximum efficiency. So you can denote at that moment this current is a I2M. So if you want to calculate the condition for the maximum efficiency, so just you differentiate formula of this efficiency with respect to the variable part. And what is that variable part? That is a current, and that current is what? I2. So for the maximum efficiency you can write d eta upon di2 is equal to 0. So eta is equal to what? This one. So you just differentiate this formula with respect to I2. So just you can assume that this is a first term, or this is a second term, or you can say this is a numerator, this is a denominator. Just you differentiate it. So if you want to differentiate it, just you write this quantity, that is B2I2 cos phi 2 plus Pi plus I2 square R2, differentiation of this one, minus this one, this quantity, multiplied by differentiation of the denominator. So what will be the output if you are differentiating this? It will be the B2I2 cos phi 2 plus Pi plus I2 square R2e multiplied by B2 cos phi 2, because if you are differentiating this term, so this B2 and cos phi 2 is a constant. What is the variable part? I2. So differentiation of I2 with respect to I2 is what? I1. Similarly here you can write B2 I2 cos phi 2 and you differentiate this term. So differentiation of this term is what? B2 cos phi 2 plus, and this Pi is a constant, that means this differentiation of Pi is 0, and differentiation of this one is what? 2I2 R2e. Now after the solving and this just put equal to 0, so you find that means this iron losses is equal to I2 square R2e. So this I2 square R2e is what? This is a copper losses. So you can say iron losses is equal to copper losses. So transformer will give you the maximum efficiency when iron losses are the copper losses. So suppose it is asked that you find the maximum efficiency. So what losses you can change? Because this iron losses is the constant losses, that means you cannot say that copper loss is equal to iron losses. You can say only iron loss is equal to copper losses. So just you can change only the copper losses, right? So efficiency to get the maximum efficiency of the transformer, the condition is iron losses is equal to copper losses. This is the load current I2 at maximum efficiency. I am not going in to describe this formula. You can understand the load current at maximum efficiency is equal to load current at full load multiplied by under root Pi upon copper losses at full load, where this Pi is the iron losses and this is a copper losses at full load. And similarly you can find out the kVA supplied at maximum efficiency. So for the constant voltage B2, the kVA supplied is a function of load current. So this kVA at maximum efficiency is equal to what? I2M multiplied by B2. And what is the value of this I2M? The value of this I2M is I2 full load multiplied by this one under root Pi upon PCU FL. So you can say the kVA at maximum efficiency is equal to what? kVA at rated kVA multiplied by under root iron losses divided by the copper losses at full load. Similarly, you can find out the percentage loading, that is a kVA at maximum efficiency upon kVA. So there was two question that this question we can take. For example, to find out how the efficiency is calculated. So a 250 kVA single phase transformer has iron losses of 1.8 kilowatt and the full load copper losses is 2000 watt. You have to calculate the efficiency at full load, 0.8 lagging power factor. Second is efficiency at half full load, 0.8 lagging power factor. Here the efficiency at full load, here efficiency at half full load. Then you have to calculate the kVA supplied at maximum efficiency. Then you have to calculate maximum efficiency at 0.8 lagging power factor. Then percentage of load at which maximum efficiency occurs. So all the formula have already been discussed. So from the given question, just you extract what are the parameter are given. So what parameter are given? That is iron losses, that is a Pi, that is a 1800 watt. So efficiency at full load is equal to what? BA rating of the transformer multiplied by the power factor upon BA rating of the transformer multiplied by power factor plus Pi plus PCU full load. So VA rating of the transformer is what? Rating is given as a 250 kVA. So you can write 250 into 10 to the power 3 and power factor is given 0.8. Iron losses are given 1800 watt and copper losses at full load are 2000 watt. So just you put the formula and solve it. So efficiency at full load, it comes 98.135%. Now you have to calculate the efficiency at half full load. That means you have to put the value of this n is equal to 1 by 2 in this formula and remaining all the parameters are the same, like rating is a 250 kVA, iron loss is 1800 watt, copper losses is 2000 watt. So here you can notice that copper losses are now 1 by 4 times of the full load and this iron losses is the constant and this output is again it is a half of the full load because this n is equal to 1 by 2. So after the putting all this parameter here and after the solving, you will get the efficiency at half full load, that is 97.751%. So it is very interesting to note down that efficiency at full load is 98.135% and efficiency at half full load is 97.754%. So there is a very less effect on the load on the transformer. Here you can find out the kV at maximum efficiency. So what is the condition here? Here you can notice here, just you put the formula. So efficiency at maximum kV rating at maximum efficiency is equal to this 237.1708 kVA. And now you have to calculate the maximum efficiency. So maximum efficiency can be calculated by this formula. So at the time of maximum efficiency, copper losses is equal to iron losses. So here you can note, just you have to note down here, you cannot write down here 2PC, right? What you are writing here 2Pi, because you have to adjust copper loss is equal to iron loss, not iron losses is equal to the copper losses. So here you are writing 2Pi. So here efficiency is coming 98.137%. So here efficiency was at full load was 98.135%. Here efficiency is 98.137%. And percentage loading, if you want to calculate, so just use this formula. So this is coming 94.86%. So dear learner, in this particular session we have discussed the different type of losses, that is the power losses, basically iron losses and copper losses. And iron losses are the eddy current losses and hysteresis losses. Then we have discussed how to find out the efficiency of the transformer. So efficiency of the transformer is basically it is output upon input. Then we were able to find out the condition for the maximum efficiency. That means if we will get the maximum efficiency of the transformer when iron losses is equal to the copper losses. So dear learner, I want to inform you that if you are interested in this subject, basic of electrical engineering, so I am going to offer one online course, that is a principle of electrical sciences. It is available on the SWAYAM platform. In this particular course, basically this comprehensive course on the principle of electrical sciences is mainly for the undergraduate first year, or you can say diploma engineering student. The content of the course covers almost all the topics of the basic of the electrical engineering, ranging from the DC motor, DC machine, AC circuit to the electrical machine, transformer. In addition to this, low voltage electrical installation and elementary calculation for the energy consumption has also been covered, so as to prepare the student for an in-depth study. In this course, easy explanation of the topics and the plenty of the examples and the illustrations are also discussed. This course, Principle of Electrical Sciences, will work as a positive catalyst to boost high quality knowledge in the field of the electrical engineering. This is a 4-credit course, and if you want to join this course, just you go through the SWAYAM portal. In the SWAYAM portal, you will be able to find the logo of the IGNOU. Just click on the logo of the IGNOU, then you can find out the different courses, and then you scroll down and then you will find the one course, that is a Principle of Electrical Sciences. This course is already in offer and it was started on the 15th July 2020, and if you have missed the chance to join this course, you can join this course, and last date for enrollment for this course is 31st August 2020. This is a 12-week course and this is a very useful course if you want to upgrade the knowledge in the field of electrical engineering. Thank you very much.